Imagine walking into a beautiful antique shop, maybe in Camden Market. You see something you love, a watch, a painting, maybe even a rare comic book, but the price tag is way too high. Your heart sinks because you don't know how to ask for a better deal without sounding rude.
Hello, hello, superstars. A truly massive, high energy, and vibrant welcome back to day 28 of our 60 Days Spoken English podcast. Claps hands enthusiastically. Wow, Sam, just take a deep breath. Can you believe how far we've come?
We are exactly 3 days away from the halfway mark of this entire transformation. If you have been with us since day one, from stop saying myself to the high-stakes world of career visions, you are already a success story in progress. Absolutely incredible.
Today, we are entering a world we all live in every single day, the world of shopping. But we aren't just talking about buying milk at the supermarket. Today is about becoming a savvy shopper.
We are talking about negotiating politely, handling transactions, and returning products. I know the feeling of getting stuck. You walk into a shop, you see a masterpiece, but you freeze because the English words just won't come out.
Suddenly, you feel tongue-tied. Your brain starts trying to translate your native thoughts into English, and before you know it, English words are flying at you at 100 miles per hour.
You feel that shock because the salesperson doesn't sound like your textbook. They use slang, they speak fast, and they use local idioms that make your head spin. But remember, our foundation is built on extensive learning.
Most of you were taught English intensively, analyzing every nugget of grammar until you were too afraid to speak. But in a busy market, you must read and listen for the gist.
Wow, think about it. If a seller says this 18th century Victorian timepiece is £130 and you only understand 130, you have the gist. You know the price, and that is all that matters in that moment.
You don't need to decode the history of the watch to know the price. As our sources suggest, the feeling of, I don't understand everything, is completely normal. Even for us native-level speakers, sometimes the noise of a market is too much.
You can understand and enjoy a great amount with gist alone. If you find a price or a description difficult, don't worry. Keep calm and carry on.
Skipping a difficult word and focusing on the finish line, which is getting a good deal, is a mature approach to speaking. It shows you are a confident, independent learner.
In our story, Robert Greene is an antiques dealer who is known for not being picky and is ready to swindle the sellers. To deal with someone like him, you need to be very observant.
You need to be observant and curious like Natalie. You need to trust your natural abilities and integrate the language into your life. Don't let the strict rules of a classroom trap your personality.
Absolutely. Your proficiency comes from spending time using the language in real situations, not just memorizing rules from a dusty book. So before we reach for our wallets, let's adopt the story learning mindset.
Imagine you are in that small shop in London looking at beautiful items. How do you ask for the price without sounding like a confused tourist? Let's unlock the secrets.
When you enter a shop, the salesperson will usually greet you with, "Can I help you?" or "May I help you?" Notice the rising intonation at the end?
Yes, it's a yes-no question, so the voice goes up. If you're not sure what you want yet, use Gloria's phrase, I'm looking for a sweater in a size medium.
"I'm looking for" is a perfect way to start. It means you haven't made your mind up yet. It's a soft opening. The salesperson might say, "Let's see. Here's a nice white one. What do you think?"
Remember that "let's see" is a great way to buy time while you think. It prevents you from feeling that 100 miles per hour pressure from the salesperson.
If you don't like the first option they show you, don't say, "I don't like this." That sounds a bit harsh. Use the "I'd rather" structure. "I think I'd rather have it in blue."
Or, as Jack says in our dialogues, I much prefer basketball. In shopping, you could say, I much prefer the silver one. It sounds more sophisticated and polite to the seller.
Now, let's talk about the just rule. This is a tiny word that does a lot of heavy lifting. In the supermarket, Anna says, "I'll just have the fish."
In a clothing store, you might say, I'm just looking. Wow, notice the word just. In our linguistic notes, just can be used for contrast or emphasis.
When you say, I'm just looking, you are emphasizing that you're not ready to buy yet. It takes the pressure off you and allows you to browse the items in peace.
Now, Sam, we have to talk about something very important for shopping: numbers, specifically mastering syllable stress in prices and sizes.
This is where the heartbeat of English matters most. If you get this wrong, you might end up paying £40 instead of 14.
Exactly. 14th, the stress is on the second syllable, but 40th, the stress is on the first syllable. Listen to the rhythm: lub-dub versus dub-lub.
If a watch costs £130, say it clearly, 130. Don't swallow the ending. And for compound nouns like price tag, always stress the first word.
Price tag, credit card, gift wrap. Always the first word has the heartbeat. Wait, what about the silent letters we find in grocery stores?
Oh, you mean the aisles. In the story, Julia says she'll get the dry ingredients in aisle 10. Remember, superstars, the S in aisle is completely silent.
Don't say aisle, it's aisle, just like the word island. If you say aisle in a London shop, the clerk might look at you with total confusion.
Now, let's get to day 28's specialty, negotiating politely. This is where most people get tongue-tied because they're afraid of being seen as cheap or rude.
But negotiation is a massive part of the culture in places like Camden Market. Let's look at Jake and Melissa. Jake says, "How about a compromise?"
How about is a magic phrase for shoppers. It's a tentative suggestion. It's not a demand. It's like saying, I'm thinking of this price. What is your opinion?
You can use it for anything. How about £40 instead of £50? Or how about a discount if I buy two? It opens a friendly door for a deal.
Use or to signal a choice, just like the postal clerk does in the dialogues. Or you can send it priority.
You can ask the seller, "Can you lower the price, or is that your final offer?" Notice the intonation. It goes up on the first choice and down on the second.
Can you lower the price, or is that your final offer? This makes you sound like a very savvy and confident English speaker.
Absolutely. And speaking of savvy, remember Mariana Windsor? She makes trade-offs with Robert Greene in our story to get what she wants.
She gives him a valuable object and he gives her a rare comic. While we don't recommend her criminal methods, the concept of a trade-off is very useful in business.
You can say, "I can't pay that much, but I can offer a trade-off. If I buy the watch today, will you give me a free gift wrap?"
Negotiation is a dance. You use to show that you're thinking. You use good point to agree with the seller's logic before offering your lower price.
And when the deal is finally done, you don't just walk away. You say, "I'll take it." Wow, Sam, I think our listeners are already feeling like pro-negotiators.
Absolutely. But wait, we're just getting started with this shopping masterclass. There is so much more to cover.
You're right. Shopping isn't just about the buy. It's about the interaction at the counter and what happens if things go wrong later.
Welcome back to Part 2, Superstars. We have learned the art of negotiation, but now it is time for the real action, the billing counter.
This is where the speed really hits 100 miles per hour. You are standing in line, people are waiting behind you, and the clerk is scanning items faster than you can blink.
This is what I call transaction tension. In our story, when Natalie goes to buy an antique, she doesn't just hand over her money and run. She is observant and stays calm.
Exactly. First, you need to handle the payment inquiry. The clerk might ask, "How would you like to pay?" Or cash or card.
Notice that or structure again? Cash, rising, or card, falling. You should answer clearly. I'll pay by card, please, or I'll pay in cash.
Wait, did you notice those tiny words? In American English, we say by card, but in cash. These small nuggets of grammar make you sound like you've been living in the States for years.
Absolutely. Now, what if the machine doesn't work? The clerk might say, "I'm sorry, the connection is bad. Could you try swiping again?"
Don't let your brain freeze. Use your survival phrases. Oh no, let me try another card. Or, is there an ATM nearby by any chance?
That "by any chance" with a rising intonation is a lifesaver. It turns a stressful moment into a polite and smooth conversation.
Wow, let's talk about receipts. The clerk asks, would you like your receipt in the bag? Always say yes, please, especially if you might need to return the item later.
Which brings us to the most difficult part of shopping, returning a product. Ugh. This is where even advanced learners feel ashamed or nervous.
No one likes going back to a store to say, this is broken, or I made a mistake. You might feel like Mariana Windsor when she was caught red-handed.
But with the right professional phrases, you can handle it with impeccable grace. First, the opening. Use the formal version of "I want."
Say, good morning, I'd like to return this watch, please. Or, I'd like to speak with the manager regarding a defective item.
The clerk will ask, "What seems to be the problem?" Notice how the voice falls at the end? They're looking for facts.
Now you have to describe the defect clearly. Use the vocabulary we learned in the previous lessons.
It just stopped working. Remember to stress the word "just" to show it happened recently. Or say, "It has a noticeable scratch," or "The battery is draining too fast."
If the product is actually fine but you just changed your mind, be honest but stay polite. I'm sorry, I realize this doesn't fit my needs. I was wondering if I could get a refund.
"I was wondering if" is our secret weapon for day 28. It's an indirect request. It sounds 100 times more professional than saying, "Give me my money back."
Your voice definitely should go up at the end of refund. It shows you are being a polite customer and not a bold or aggressive one.
Now, what if the clerk says no? Maybe it was a final sale or an antique from a shop like Robert Greene's. They might say, "I'm sorry, I can't do that."
Don't get angry and don't get tongue-tied. Respond with empathy first. I know how you feel and I understand the policy, but this was quite expensive. How about a store credit instead?
Using "how about" for a compromise shows you're a savvy shopper. You're not fighting the clerk, you're negotiating a win-win solution.
If they still say no, you can use the reasoning structure. The reason I'm asking is that the item was described as impeccable, but it's actually damaged.
When the issue is finally resolved, always close with a high-value phrase. "Thank you for your help. I appreciate it." Or, "I appreciate your time."
The clerk will likely say, no problem, happy to help. Wow, Sam, let's put all of this into a final massive role-play simulation for our listeners.
Great idea. Let's imagine you're back at that famous shop in London. You bought an antique watch, but it stopped ticking. I'll be the grumpy seller, Robert Greene, and you be the customer.
Okay, superstars, listen to the flow, the pauses, and the gist of the conversation. Sound of shop bell.
Ah, welcome back. The Victorian watch for £130, right? Is everything okay with your purchase?
Well, buying time. Actually, I'd like to speak with you about the watch. It just stopped working about an hour after I left the shop.
Oh no, that's very strange. It was working perfectly when Natalie inspected it. What seems to be the issue?
The hands aren't moving at all, even after winding it. I was wondering if I could get a refund or perhaps an exchange for something else.
Let's see. Sound of clock ticking. I don't usually give refunds for antiques once they leave the store. How about I give you a trade-off for a different item in the display?
I know how you feel about the policy, Mr. Green, but I much prefer to have a working timepiece. Could you tell me if you can have it fixed instead by any chance?
Actually, yes. I have a friend, Michael Wood, who is an expert. If you leave it here, I can have it serviced and fixed by tomorrow morning.
That sounds like a fair compromise. I appreciate your help with this. I'll come back tomorrow afternoon then.
No problem at all. I'll make sure it's impeccable when you return. Talk to you later.
Wow, did you hear that flow, superstars? We used well to buy time, just for the recent past. I was wondering if for the request, and how about for the solution.
This is what it means to integrate the language into your life. You didn't panic when the watch broke. You used the gist of the situation to find a solution.
Absolutely. You are no longer just a student, you are a master of the market. You can walk into any shop in the world and feel completely confident.
We have reached the end of day 28. Whew! Today we mastered the OR choice structure, the silent S in aisle, and the power of just for emphasis.
I hope you're feeling empowered. Here is your Day 28 challenge. I want you to go to a shop today, even if it's just online, and practice your English.
Even if you speak your native language to the clerk, think the English phrases in your head. Practice the inquiry. I'm looking for, by any chance. Practice the negotiation. How about a small discount? Or, I think I'd rather have the other color.
And always, always practice the closing. I'll take it. I appreciate your help. Record yourself and listen for that American syllable stress.
Remember the heartbeat, economist, development, and price tag. Apply it to every shopping phrase you use today.
You are doing the hard work, superstars. You are only 2 days away from our massive Day 30 midway confidence boost.
Thank you so much for joining us. Keep your eyes on the gist, keep your I'd likes ready, and don't let the 100-mile world slow you down.
Thank you and good night.